Let's move on to this story, which I find this kind of breaking overnight and YouTube dropping this story in its blog. So YouTube has just released a new blog post called Inside Responsibility. What's next on our efforts for misinformation, or what's next on our misinformation efforts? We're launching a new series that takes you behind the scenes of how we're tackling some of the largest challenges facing YouTube. What we're going to do is we are going to catch new misinformation before it goes viral.
And who's deciding what's misinformation?
Oh, YouTube. They are.
Oh.
So now here, let me give you this. When I upload a video to YouTube, before I ever get to hit publish, it's going to decide whether or not what I'm about to publish is misinformation or not, using their
algorithm.
They're highly advanced, AI. Perfect algorithms.
Right, which, by the way, every day, just about every day here on the show, our show gets flagged for something using their AI, and then we request a manual human review, and then the human writes and says, oh, after review, we realize your video's fine.
That poor fool.
Right. So
to listen to our whole show.
It's probably some 20-year-old intern. It's like sitting there, like literally. And now this person is going to, so you get like some 20-year-old intern who's sitting there eating a bag of Doritos. Like, I don't know if he's saying is true. I guess it's true, but I'm
excuse me. They work for YouTube. They get free organic kale chips.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right.
They believe that you should never be more than 25 foot from food.
Right, exactly. That's their rule. If you've been into Google offices, and like we have, they have like little scooters you can take around. They have food everywhere, baskets of food. So they will catch new misinformation before it goes viral. And a cross-platform problem addressing shares of misinformation. They'll ramp up their misinformation efforts work around the world.
Oh, but beyond that, you talk about picking winners and losers, right? I know we refer to this book so often by Carol Roth, the War on Small Business, and how large businesses that work in tandem with the government get to pick winners and losers. But go back to that little graphic there, the X. Yeah,
yes,
that.
Yeah.
So, okay, if they don't like what you say, they can reduce your visibility or remove it. But if they like what you say, they can raise your visibility or reward you by pushing you out to more viewers, right? So talk about picking winners and losers.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So,
hey, Clayton, can you do me a favor? Can you scroll to the top of this article and see if that warning of the Chinese government thing is on the top?
No, this is real, unfortunately.
Oh, this was written by YouTube. Wow.
This is written by YouTube, so this is not from the Chinese government.
No, it's on blog.youtube.com.
Yeah. No, this isn't a sponsored piece by the Chinese government or the Russian government. This is our own government in the United States of America, land of the free, the land that loves freedom of speech, right? Everyone wants to talk about America being the greatest place in the world, right? Everyone's, said, well, free speech, right?
No,
I'm sorry. No. When the big tech oligarchs run the show in Silicon Valley, our speech is not free. And by the way, they funnel billions of dollars to campaign candidates for office in Washington, D.C. who do their bidding. And I would love to see if there's going to be like a Senate panel. There's going to be a hearing in Congress where members of Congress call members of YouTube before them and say, okay, you're putting out this thing. Now you're going to be censoring people before they ever publish a video using your algorithm. Can we see what this algorithm looks like? Why is it suppressing certain voices and amplifying others?
Mm-hmm.
Which coincidentally always happens to be the right that they silence and the left that they amplify.
But I'm not that interested in a congressional panel where we get Maxine Waters sort of dressing down Mark Zuckerberg, and then what? Nothing happens. You just sort of embarrass Mark Zuckerberg, and then that goes viral, and nothing changes. I don't think we should.
This could be so easy for all of these companies if they would just support the First Amendment, and that's it. Like, all they would have to do is say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to support the Constitution on every platform, and that's going to be our baseline. And then from there, we can have rules about, inciting violence and stuff, which isn't free speech, by the way, but they don't do that because this is a way that they can control the narrative. And the narrative always seems to be in favor of the woke left.
Yeah, here's what they say. We are going to leverage an even more targeted mix of classifiers, including keywords and additional languages, and information from regional analysts, to identify narratives our main classifier doesn't catch. So their main classifier is their artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah. I'm interested in this because I mentioned recently that I read the book by Abigail Schreier called Irreversible Damage about the transgender craze, right? And she is a lawyer who became interested in this because she thinks that making somebody use your brand new name or use your chosen pronoun is a violation of your freedom of speech, which is such an interesting, I'm not saying that I believe that, but it's an interesting conundrum, right? And so just last week now, Instagram and TikTok are both saying that if you misgender somebody, meaning you use their gender that they left behind or you use the name that they left behind, you will be kicked off those platforms. Okay, on the one hand, that is showing respect to someone who has decided to change their identity and saying, I honor you and I see you, how you are presenting to the world. But is it a violation of your free speech to use the birth gender? I think that these are, and this is something that you usually cannot say because it's considered politically incorrect and insensitive. But I think it's an interesting debate right now, right? Is it for social media to say you lose your freedom of speech for being disrespectful to this person, right? When our freedom of speech was supposed to be absolute.
Right, but unless you're a big tech oligarch who publishes a blog post that says, we will decide.
Right, I'm not saying you should misgender somebody. But I'm asking if you should have the right to do that. That's what I'm saying.
What if a study comes out about the effects of this misgendering or whatever, right? And so they say context is top of mind. Embedded in a research study or a news report might be requiring exceptions or a different treatment altogether. So if you're talking about a news report, we might have to be careful here. I love this. We might need to be careful to balance limiting. We don't want to, like, if you do a video where you talk about this controversial research, then we at YouTube have to decide whether or not to allow it to disseminate.
Well, and
okay, but there's a lot of hurtful things on YouTube that would not fall under these categories that still can lead to all kinds of body dysmorphia for young girls. And oh my God, I have such a problem with this channel that my kids, and I was like, this channel promotes materialism. Everything they buy goes in the landfill. But now, okay, but then what are we choosing based on, right? Like, there's this ridiculous channel that has millions of followers that my daughter watches, and all they do is buy goods that are made in China that are basically like, this family is responsible for 50% of global warming, I swear. And that's fine, right? Like, so where are we drawing lines at this point?
Well, and that's the thing. It becomes all opinion. But like here, yesterday, I got a little bit irritated because I was in my Vimeo account, which is a business account. And when I was setting up my account, because I was changing my avatar, it then said, hey, now we want to know what your pronouns are. Like, I'm in my Vimeo business account. I identify as a business. And it's like, I feel like all of these platforms are now starting to ask us what we identify, like, what is our gender? Why aren't they asking us what our adjectives are? I want to be funny and sassy. Like, what, like, where does it stop? And it's like, if they're taking that information and they're asking us what it is and we're filling that out, that's going to be something they can use in the future against us, of those of us that don't, like, I don't buy into all of that. I'll call somebody whatever name.
That too. YouTube did that too. Remember a few months ago, they had that creator survey where they sent out and they wanted to know, like, your skin color. They wanted to know how you identify, all of those things they wanted to know about you. YouTube did. It's amazing. They say, we are going to continue to work on reducing our harmful misinformation across all of our products and policies while allowing a diverse range of voices to thrive. We recognize that it may not have all the answers. We may not have all the answers, but we think it's important to share the questions and issues we're thinking through.
Yeah.
This is the same reason they their whole mantra, Google's whole mantra was do no evil, right? That was their whole thing. They've moved past that, right? But they left China. They got out of China because they didn't like China telling them we're going to suppress certain search results and things like that. So they left and moved out of there. but they're doing the exact same thing in the United States. Like what they were complaining about China doing is exactly what Google and YouTube are doing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's to protect people here. It's to control people there.
Right.
That's right. It's to protect you.
Yeah.
You feel safer?
KT says she's got a problem with using they for an individual. If you want an androgynous pronoun, all we've got right now is they. So if I identify as non-binary, then you say, they wanted a coffee for me.
So bizarre.
And but isn't that the same as like, I'm an atheist, right? And so if a religious person is telling me that God is real, how come I can deny that? But like, I can't deny that I don't want to go down this pronoun road.
I think that bears a different discussion. For me,
cultish.
as a grammar nerd, it just bothers me that that's a word for plural.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
That's all that bothers me.
Imagine you go in, you're at a coffee shop, and like it's two people, right? Two people sitting there having a coffee,
right?
And the waiter or waitress comes over and says, "What can I get you?" And I'm saying, "I'm gonna have an orange juice," and they are gonna have coffee. And like the waiter's like,
"Who else is having coffee?"
Oh, you're expecting more people?
Right.
Like,
I just want people I think we should just stop with the pronouns and just get people's names. Like, I'm just going to, I don't care what your pronoun is. What's your name? Your name's Silver? Okay, I'll call you Silver.
Silver.
Yeah.
Silver here wants a coffee.
In Iranian, they don't have gendered pronouns at all. Iranian language, in Persian, they don't have a gendered pronoun. It's just...
Yeah.
But we could do that. I'd be fine with that, with one pronoun that's, for everybody. But it cannot be plural. You have to have a singular and a plural pronoun that is different. This is I haven't thought of any alternative, but I really just wish that non-binary people could have a singular pronoun.
Jim Jackson Jim Jackson in the chat says, I use it for my wife.
But now it's like we've opened this gate, right? We've opened this little gate, and now all of a sudden you've got like thousands of pronouns that you have to try to remember. And there's people that are like, well, today I'm Z, Zach, Zoo, Zazie, me, she, he, and they, and I'm wearing pink, green, yellow, and bracelet. But then tomorrow I'm going to wear these other color bracelets because and they expect us to keep up with that. Like if they want to do that on their own, I don't have a problem. Do it in your house. But when they come out into public and they demand that I do that too, that's where I have the problem. I have a problem with anybody that tries to push their beliefs, because that's all this is a belief.
Well, then you should
if they
read
try to
this
push it on me.
About how it violates your freedom of speech to make you say anything. We can't even make you say the Pledge of Allegiance. So why then are there consequences where you can lose your license as a teacher? You can lose your license as a therapist for misgendering somebody. Why are those things basically illegal and cost you your livelihood when it doesn't to not say the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, sorry, I kicked a table. I got excited.
Wow,
we're going to move on to trending. Do you want to do the last ad and then we'll do trending?
No, I just wanted to say, just wrap it up here. So yeah, I mean, let us know your thoughts on this. Drop us a comment below and let YouTube know. I mean, if they see enough of this, they see enough response to this, but it's going to really be interesting to me to see what.
Finish, do the ad.
Oh, I was like, what the hell's happening here? Just like I'm not in on the joke. That YouTube decides that they are going to block videos from ever seeing the light of day. I mean, just watch now. Like imagine what stuff we will not get to see because someone spends weeks working on a video, research on a video, interviews people, goes to release the video, and then the algorithm, before they can hit publish, does its checks and says, we identified misinformation. We can't allow you to publish your video.
And the thing is, they don't make a list of what those words are. They don't tell you what you can and can't say. You just have to find out through that process. And in that process, they don't tell you what it is. And if you ask them like, hey, what part of this video got flagged? Sorry.
Right.
It's they don't tell you. So it's like, it's so arbitrary, because if you're going to make rules and you want the rules to be followed by everyone, then make a clear list of guidelines. Say, these are the words you cannot say. This is misinformation. And then at least you can go through those and know what you can and can't say. We're just flying, like, we don't know if something we said today is going to be part of the new guidelines going forward, because we just talked about gender and pronouns.
Right, exactly.